Yes, folks, it's Tales from the Jails with John G. Sutton. And it's glorious weather here. It's sun shining, it's warm, and it's going to be hot in the prisons. And what happens when it's hot in the prisons? Well, inmates don't want to go in their cells, do they? So I'm going to talk a little bit about what happens when adverse conditions apply and what the staff do. Well, I know what we used to do when I was in the prisons. If they didn't want to go in, we used to persuade them to go in, gentle persuasion, like you do. They had, when I was at the Scrubs, they had a few days when it was really, really hot in the summer of 76, which was exceedingly hot. Believe me, it was the hottest summer on record. Up to that point, I think it's been a few hotter days since then, but at 1976, that was the hottest summer they'd had. So a lot of the inmates didn't want to go in. They gave them, believe this or not, at the Scrubs persuasion, they gave them ice cream. Don't know where they got the ice cream from, but they gave them ice cream like chalk ices, little bars of ice cream that we took round to the cells. Fortunately, it was bloody red hot, so they had to get them down quick, but they did. And we tried to use common sense, keep the inmates out of the cells as long as we could. But there are times when you just got to lock them up, because at lunchtime you can't leave everybody wandering round, and they didn't like it, And one day we had a sit down on the yard. They didn't want to come in. We got the dog handlers out, and a couple of the heavy gang started picking prisoners up one at a time. That kind of persuaded them, Don't want to be next to get that done to me. So they went back into the cells then. But I feel, that today, how are they going to handle it today? Putting unwilling inmates into their cells, when all you've got for your backup are a gang of hostesses. Yeah, with the best will in the world, they ain't going to be able to do it. And as I previously said, there's one jail where 70% of the staff, male prison, are female. So it's going to be a mess, that, isn't it? It's going to be a struggle. And they'll eventually will. They'll eventually just say, nope, we ain't going in. And what will they do? I think they'll have to send for reinforcements and tackle it that way. But mark my words, this is going to be a hot summer, and there's going to be trouble in the jails. There's no doubt about that. Maybe even a rooftop protest, like they did at Strangeways when they smashed it to bits. And the problem with Strangeways was it was an extremely antiquated Victorian dump. There was no facilities in there in the cells. Cells built for one man in the era of Queen Victoria were being used to house 3 men without any sanitation. And you can imagine that was extremely uncomfortable, especially when you get temperatures into the 80s. And the way this summer's going, we're going to end up, by the time we get to the middle of July, with temperatures in the 80s and 90s even, which is going to put a tremendous amount of strain on the prison system, because the inmates are going to be complaining because there's very little air conditioning or anything like that in the cells. In America, they do have air conditioning in the prisons. I believe, according to Sean Atwood, in his book Hard Time, which I highly recommend you read, they used to switch the aircon off, or the aircon would break down, and they just didn't bother with it, so they were sweltering in 90, 100 degrees heat in Arizona. That's where he was banged up. Read his book Hard Time. It's available on Amazon. I've got a signed copy here. Yeah, so that's what I would say about the prisons this summer. Going to be rather dangerous. And I believe that there's going to be trouble because they just vastly overcrowded again. And they're putting people in prison. They put somebody in prison, what was it, for 11 years for streaming football matches. Illegally streaming football matches and selling them to people. Well, I personally have never seen a professional football game in my life. I've seen it on television, I just don't watch it. Yeah? And I've never been to a football match. Just can't do with it. Watching men running around in short pants. Nope, leave that to Philip Schofield. I ain't doing it. Seriously. So yeah, I mean, you can all have a think about what you think's going to happen when it hits the fan, or not hits the fan, because there ain't no fans. Yeah, and the prisons kick off. Yeah. Oh, by the way, yesterday, for some unknown reason, I pressed the wrong button. Yeah. When I was going to sing you a song. We have people here claiming that they magicked me out of it. Larry the Goatherd. Thank you, Larry. Using his magical powers to influence me. There you go. So there you are. Anyway, I am now going to sing for you. I'll just hit the ding dong ding. Yep. That's the song dinger, by the way. Are you sitting comfortably?